Okay, tomorrow you are doing recitation in my office at what time?
I'm in your office today and tomorrow, 1:30 to 3.
1:30
And I have
to
a
3.
recitation tomorrow, 6 to 8.
So,
And since they don't have that,
tomorrow I have a luncheon from 11:30 until whenever it goes through. My guess is going to go through most of that 11:30, 12:31. So, no office hours tomorrow, but you're there at 1:30. Hopefully we'll be back by 1. And, but I'll be there a little earlier too. So for tomorrow, if you got questions, comment about 11. I got till about 11:15 before I have to walk over to wherever I'm at. And I don't remember where that's at.
I could start office hours tomorrow at 12.
Anybody want that as a taker? I mean, I like to give him money, but I don't want to pay him to sit there, you know, just look in my book. Nobody really cares.
I'll just come up there.
At 1:30? Okay. And use it at 1:30, because, you know, you might want it, but you ought to go, because if we don't get anybody there at 1:30 for a couple times, then we just won't do that anymore. Because, you know, he's got a wife, and go have lunch, right? No? She works. Good for her. Good for her.
Somebody's got to pay the
Somebody's got to- Amen. I keep telling my wife, I'm gonna get our bride's gonna get too ugly to sit here and do this. She's gonna have to work longer. This is why I'm back to back to back. And once I'm up, I'm okay. But when I sit down, get back up, I'm not gonna tell. As long as I walk, everything is just fine. Okay, so we are gonna start with naming ketones. That's kind of where we ended up. I found an old computer, installed it in here, so I don't have to use the PowerPoint anymore. I think that'll work a little bit. But in looking at naming ketones and aldehydes, the ketone is below the aldehyde in priority only because the aldehyde is always at the end. If you're doing longest continuing chain that bears the functional group of highest priority, start at the end nearest that functional group, the aldehyde has to be at one of the ends, right? Because an aldehyde is at the end. That's the only reason it has that higher priority. So, and I want to continue to go through and mix these a little bit, even though, use the ones out of their book and let you know that that's the level. But I want to mix them in recitation a little bit more so that whatever they give you, because they are going to give you reactions, and so we always want to count reactions and kind of the most stable carbocation type of thing, because they are going to put a correct location. And nomenclature are going to be big things, and the physical property. So all those things that we've done so far are going to be big contenders. And we're going to change this, letting, not having labs on the day, because you guys are at a disadvantage. Yes, I'm causing you to read. Well, we're taking it slower, yeah. They're going to be done. Well, and you will have that lab. What they're saying is that we're just going to have you, take that lab period and study for your exam type of thing. But I would suggest you take that lab period and study, or get ahead and do whatever, because if you're not having the lab. But, we're going to take it slow enough that by time, because this is more eclectic, this is more disjointed. We're doing the same things, but we're doing the same things with different functional groups. And so the naming is different. When you get to the next part, the biochemistry part, the first part of it, well, the first part of it is okay, but when you get to the metabolisms of sugars, that's hard. That's a hard chapter. But every chapter after that feeds right into that same thing. So it's a very coherent picture. And I am going to have you put all of that together as a homework, just so I know that you know that everything feeds into the same thing. So it's really just one chapter where we first talk about that. You're going to look overwhelmed, and I know you're going to be overwhelmed, so we're going to try and take that slow enough, and but then everything else just feeds right into those the same cycle. So we're doing the same things, and hopefully by doing this, I know, by the way, I do realize that it doesn't feel like it's slow to you. But they have already covered everything, and they've only had maybe 1 or 2 exams on it. I want the exams on the 2 that just have just 1. So, and what happens if, you know, then all of a sudden you decided to get the nomenclature, you have all these things together, then that's not a very good score. So, my ideology is that if we hit this enough, you're going to see nomenclature at a slower pace, and nomenclature is going to be easy for you. And the reactions enough that you're going to catch on to the reactions. I believe right now that nomenclature is not going to be an issue for you. The physical properties, which is a higher boiling point, which is a higher melting point, which one's more soluble in water, is not going to be an issue. The issue, I would think, would be the reactions, and so we'll continue to go over those reactions over and over and over. And we will take the time prior to that. I mean, if we get done earlier, we have it on Monday the 24th. If we get done earlier, we can have that test on a Thursday, and then have just a review on a Friday, and continue to have a lot of reviews to where you have that, you know, ACS thing down. Because it's good to show that at a really good high national percentage. And we'll do the same thing with the biochemistry. So, and then the trick is to just stay, you know, grab a book so you know what it is and at that same level. Because you're going to have it in depth coming up.
So are you wanting to go over molecular first?
We'll go through the energetics because it's all about energetics. I'm still going to follow the book. I like the way the book is outlined. But you'll have the metabolism, you'll have the energetics of it, and we'll look at that, and then we're going to hit that glycolysis and citric acid cycle. And that's, you know, that's a lot of memorization of this structure, this name of this enzyme does this structure, this name of this enzyme does this structure, this name of this enzyme does this. It's just a tour de force of memorization, okay? We'll talk about what we can. If you're good with Lewis base and Lewis acid things, we can explain what's going to happen and why. And we'll tell the story. I will tell the story of what you eat, why you eat, so that it all relates, type of thing. So, all right. So we're going to pull back a little bit and go back to the naming of ketones. Longest continuous. So our 5 rules, we only really need the 4. But we find the longest continuing chain that bears a functional group of highest priority. And here's the function group of highest priority. Start at the end nearest that function group. So this is 1, 2, 3 away. This is only 2 away. So we started this in. This then is going to be a 1, 2, 3 hexanone. That's the traditional IUPAC. Now, your book will not have the new method. But I give you the new method strictly in case it sinks in with you. You know, and that is the hexa first with the 3 own, because this 3 really says where the ketone is, okay? This 3 just puts it right out in front. I don't know which one is better. For me, this is a lot better, only because I have 40 years with this and 8 years with that kind of thing. So as we come down here, longest continuing chain that bears the function group of highest priority. I've got a function group on 2 here, and I got a function group on 2, but the carbonyl. And what I like about this book is the order that we've attacked these functional groups is their order of priority. So you remember that, well, we looked at this first, and we looked at that second, this must be the higher priority group. I like it. I just like that subtle thing. And okay, so this is going to be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So on position 4 is where the hexene is. So it's going to be a hexane 2 owned. Okay? Now, I'm going to be mildly surprised if your book mixes that in anywhere but the, where they have challenge questions or something like that, somewhere near the end. Now, those of you been book, is your book mixing an alkene and a ketone? A little bit once in a great while, but if we mix it a lot, we'll give you a lot with just the ketone. We'll give you some with a ketone and an aldehyde, and then we'll give you some with a ketone and an alcohol and a ketone and an alkene. By that time, nobody can give you anything that you cannot name or read and draw. Now, on an ACS exam, there ain't going to be no drawing. They might give you a name and draw it out for you, or give you a drawing and have you pick the name, because it's all multiple choice. So that's kind of why we occasionally have you draw them out and write them out, so that it's harder. That's harder than, we want homework to be harder than the in-class exam, the in-class exam to be harder than the ACS. And we're hoping that that's the way that is. I don't get to see the ACS, so we don't know. All right, so long as continuing chain, now I got 2 of these, and we're used to, if I have 2 methyls, doing dimethyl, right? I have 2 ketones, so I got diones. So this is going to be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 4 hexane dione. And I would say, I always draw these out, I always put the numbers on it, it just helps me get it set in my head for nomenclature. And then, of course, you have the acetone, which is a common name, and actually, the common names are a little bed easier. We allow you to kind of just go methyl ketone, but here, dimethyl ketone, so it's a derived name. Dimethyl ketone or an ethyl propyl ketone, or a, oh great, lovely, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's the iso group. This would be isopropyl, isobutyl, isohexyl, isoheptyl, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Sorry, there's only 6 here. Isohexyl. So this is going to be an isohexyl methyl ketone. Yeah, and nobody wants to name that. For me, IUPAC is a lot easier. This is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 methyl 2 heptanone. 6 methyl 2 heptanone is a lot easier than that. That's what I love about the IUPAC. You get that IUPAC down, you can name everything appropriately, and you don't have to worry so much about all of this memorization stuff. But there is a smidgy of the memorization. So, common name, remember how this was the aceto group? This then is acetophenone, because it's a phenyl group and a ketone, phenone, acetophenone. So this is a 1, 2, 3, 4 butyrylphenone. If I had 3, it would be a propiophenone. Okay? This is a benzophenone. The phenone name doesn't make sense to me when I get it. I get where it comes from. I just wouldn't have named it phenone. But it's a phenomenon as to why it's called phenone. There you go. So those are 3 common names. And the extension would be butyryl, propio, but not aceto. Because aceto is, and if I had a hydrogen here, it'd be formaldehyde. Right? But actually it'd just be a benzaldehyde because you have the benzene. So there you go. Anything, so here's just some more to look at. These are straight up. Most likely might look at something like this where we come in and go, okay, so this is a good point. Longest continuing chain that bears the function group of highest priority. I start near the end, so I'm 1, 2, 3, 4 from the end, 1, 2, 3, 4 from the end. I can't make a decision there, so what do? I go to the next substituent. Now I start on this end. 1, 2, 3 bromo, 4 heptanone. And I still would label 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It just reinforces quickly that for you and makes it getting over. And this makes sense. Remember when we had this to be an aldehyde, cyclohexane carbaldehyde, that makes no sense. But cyclohexanone makes sense. The reason I harp on that is under stress, a lot of us would probably just say cyclohexane aldehyde because it makes more sense. So that's got to be something that you just put in your head prior to walking into the exam. It's cyclohexane carbaldehyde. It makes no sense. But then again, as a surgical tech, you're going to look at all the names of those utensils and go, why don't you just call that a clamp instead of a hemostat or a thoracic hemostat or whatever? Why don't you just call this, a saw? There's a weird name for everything. And those are just things you have to know. They're kind of like your cousins, nomenclature and everything you name. Some of your cousins have weird names, don't they? I know mine do. Yours are all normal names. Man, I got something called Sloan. Sloan? Elsha. L-SHA, Elsha. This is, you know, Roman is okay, normal. Maverick is all normal. But man, Bowie, what if your name was Colin? I would have pronounced it Colin, but no, he pronounced it Colin. And I'm like, wait till you get older. High school's gonna be rough on you. What the heck were you thinking to my brother? Well, I wasn't thinking of that, only you would think of that. Well, it is medicinal, right? You don't go have a colonoscopy. You don't drink a Tom Collins. Well, you do drink a Tom Collins. You don't drink a Tom Collins. Anyway, moving right along here. Just a little bit of mix of the nomenclature so you get it set in your head. All right. Any questions? One other item to remind you of, longest continuing chain, what if I have both an aldehyde and a ketone? The aldehyde is at the end, so it's carbon number 1, 2, 3, 4. When we have a ketone, we call this an oxo group. So this is going to be a 1, 2, 3, 4 oxopentanal. And you can put 4-oxo-1-pentanal, but the aldehyde is always that position 1, so you don't ever have to. And you probably will never see it that way. But this would then be 1, 2, 3, 4-oxopentanal. 4-oxopentanal.
So aldehydes have their
Yes, strictly because they are first in the chain always, that's why I think I put them. I don't know why they put them there, but yes, aldehyde will always have higher priority. And the same thing, if you have 2 methyl groups on something, you put dimethyl. If you have 2 ketones, it becomes a dione. This is going to be a 2,3-butane-dione. This is going to be a 2,4-pentane-dione. So on and so forth. Now here you'll know they don't really have to do that because that's the only places you could put it to be the dione. So that's, you know, one name, one possible configuration. But still, if you did 2,4-butane-dione, or 2,3-butane-dione, you're okay. And I don't think we'll do Rule 5. Do you remember Rule 5? Rule 5 says you name the mini molecule as if it's a molecule by itself. So you start at the first point of attachment. So this would be at the 2 position. In brackets, I have this big molecule. So this would be 1, 2, 3 oxo, 4, 5, 3 oxopentyl. So this would be 2, 3 oxopentyl cyclohexanone. 2, 3 oxopentyl cyclohexanone. This is as hard as it ever gets. And I don't think your book's ever going to give you that. So that's just a bonus. Yes?
Will we ever see it with like an alcohol group as well as the...
Yes, you could see something with an alcohol group on here. If we did this, then we would have a 2-hydroxy 4-oxopentanal. The alcohol group would become the hydroxy group because it's lower in priority. Yes, you could. And a chlorine. 2-chloro 4-oxo, yada, yada, yada. So I don't think, honestly, they'll put 3 or 4 of them together. But I think it's a good thing on recitation to do it, just in case somebody got weird and did it. It just, once you got nomenclature, like I say, you just love nomenclature. I can answer anything. You know, I just know where to put it. And so it's kind of fun. I like it. It's better than surgery. All right, so I've just boxed these up for you. We've already talked about them, but your methanal has the common name formaldehyde. Your ethanal has the common name of acetaldehyde. Do not worry about acrolein, because this is not industrial chemistry. Acrolein, acrylic acid, is what you wax your floors with. It's for that acrylic shine, and nobody cares about that in this class, right? Anybody want to go home and wax the floor? Good, we're not going to worry about that. Or crotonaldehyde, we don't care about that either, but we do formaldehyde, acetaldehyde, and the benzaldehyde. And the benzophenones, and the acetophenone, and the acetone. Okay? That should give you all of the little weird things that people, because nobody really goes and says, let's embalm this dead body with methanol. It's always formaldehyde. It's always acetaldehyde. So those are the things that you see the most. They're common names that somebody came up with, but they're also commercial names as well. Okay? Alright, so classify each as an aldehyde or a ketone. A is a, you gotta love that. B is a, C is a, D is a. See, there are parts of this class that are just absolutely fun and easy. But you had to, recognize your cousins here in order to say, oh, how are you doing? And if you don't see your cousin for a while, you'll go, I recognize you, I just don't know what your name is. Are you Bob or Al? It's Al. When people always say there's a lot to memorize, yes, it is like your brothers, sisters, and family. You have to spend time with them so that you can remember them. I like that. That's simple. Good answer. Classify each as an aldehyde, ketone, or an alcohol, or an ether. Okay. So this is my way of keeping you on top of it and getting you ready for that ACS exam, because we've already talked about alcohols and so on and so forth. Now, so this then is a 1, 2, 3, 4. This is a 2-butanone, right? What if I put an alcohol on here? This would be a 3-hydroxy-2-butanone. What if I put a methyl ether on here? That would then be a 3-methoxy-2-butanone. You see that consistency there? 3-chloro, 2-butanone. It's just darn fun and I like it. So we put a couple of nonsense off here. Yes, this is the aldehyde, that's all we're asking, but I'm going to name them. Too. This is going to be a 1,2,3,3-dimethyl butanal. And they do not sound normal. This is my favorite story. A lot of these, if you start putting, 3-hydroxy-2-butanol, E-hydroxy-2-butanol. Sometimes students will say, I don't know, I realize it's right, it just sounds wrong. I think nomenclature sounds evil. I think it sounds like a witch's incantation. 2-methoxy, 4-hydroxy-2-pentanol. But you know what? I've done this before and I tell it to every class. If you're ever on a bad date, do nomenclature. It will weird them out. And that day will be over and you'll have your freedom back quick. Because it's just weird. And they get worse. Alright. Name each of the following. There you go. So I'm going to leave these to you. These are things that you can do inside. Oh, there's a chloro added. That's good. You can give it, first start with the IUPAC name and then give it the derived name, like a methyl ethyl ketone. So on and so forth. I've got those in there for you. Nothing real earth-shattering there. Draw condensed structural formulas. We're going back to the condensed structural formulas just as an avenue of ACS exam. That might be there. So when you're going through these, try these out. Okay? Try them out. So after you go to the naming, then you go to the physical properties. So physical properties, all right, I have the carbonyl. That carbonyl is going to have some polarization. It is an oxygen doubly bound to a carbon. Oxygen is winning the tug of war for electrons. It's partial negative, it's partial positive. So, if I had an acid on this carbonyl, who would pick it up, the oxygen or the carbon? If I had an H+,